It's episode 6 of the Power Thought series. Welcome to my pod and today's mindset training, which is about the power of your environment. I'm going to show you specific ways to take back your power by reshaping your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual space. Make these changes and life will meet you halfway. It's all cause and effect. There's one major shift that changed the weight and burden of things not changing in my life, of things remaining stagnant, and me feeling that I was just not getting anywhere fast enough. It was moving to a new environment, a new physical space, a space that energetically felt good, emotionally safe, one that contributed to stability in mind, a place that I called home, in which I created a further space to show up each morning for my sadhana, my daily spiritual discipline for all levels of being. This plan to change my environment came about through the most basic start, which is intention setting. I planted a seed in my mind and heart, setting an intention for which I watered a strong resolve. I set a specific date for when I would be moving, and I looked back at my notes the other week in my journal where I set the intention, and lo and behold, I moved in by the date I'd written down on the paper. Call it magic, call it an unwavering determination, call it the universe conspiring to make my final decision and resolve a reality, call it manifestation. It's certainly not a coincidence because something like this has happened many times in my life. I know the name of this phenomenon within the context of the practice of yoga. It came about through Shraddha, absolute devotion and a deep knowing from my heart. Also, don't quote me on this translation of Shraddha because, as I've discussed before, Sanskrit terms are concepts which change according to context, and the English language is limited in providing a translation for it and is often mistranslated as a result. And if you've listened to my earlier podcast episodes, you know that misinformation and mistranslations thrive in Western or Western-influenced yoga spaces. Anyway, back to my story. Not only did I move home, but I met and married the partner of my dreams. Before this all materialized, I visualized my new environment with the silhouette of a partner who supported my worldview, way of life, and sensitive nature. And I can tell you now that he's pretty fierce when it comes to protecting who I am and how I am. It's accurate to say that I created a new environment that matched and aligned to my big vision, one that did not compromise my values and soul desires. So when we talk about environment, we first think about physical space. So let's talk more about the physical. The space where you spend the most time. It could be your bedroom, the living room. Maybe you're lucky enough to have a clear and optimal space to think, contemplate, write, and meditate. However ideal or not ideal your home environment is, start by setting the intention of removing clutter and chaos from your life, and invite in space for new things to take its place or hold the empty feeling for a while. Declutter and clean your space as the next step. I know it's hard to keep on top of, but if you have a strong enough desire and the right vision that pulls you forward, you can find solutions. Focus on the space you use the most. The next step is to beautify it. What makes your space feel special? A color, a scent? Decorate your space so when you enter, there is a sense of goodness and calmness about it. You know that this is a place where you can rest. It is your space for respite. Also, when we talk about the physical, let's touch upon the body and our diets. The more junk and processed food-like substances we feed ourselves, whether out of habit or emotional eating, the more we are contributing to a weak Agni and unhealthy digestive system and buildup of disease. And as Ayurveda teaches, how well you digest your food determines the health of your whole system, which include the mental and emotional body. Think about what excesses can be eliminated or perhaps the timings of meals, as well as the space between each meal. What nourishing foods can be added? Are you allowing enough space and time for digestion? Another facet of the physical environment is where you sleep, how you sleep, what time you sleep. I admit I have struggled with sleep for a number of years as a form of PTSD, and it's an ongoing process that I work on. The quality of your sleep determines how well you replenish your prana, the vital essence. So think about how you can create the conditions for a replenishing experience throughout the night. The next important power play for your environment is who is physically in it. It's the company you keep. And you know this by now. Count your closest connections on your fingers. Are these the people that support your way of life, or do they continually criticize and kick down the building of your dreams? Start there. The physical space that toxic people take up is also the mental space they take up. It's a drain, and you have somewhere to get to. You have an impact to make in this world, so don't waste time. When you're with the right people, it's never a waste of time because they help you get there faster. Choose those who are on the same path, those who have found a different way to work in the world. They're working on their side hustle, building a business, continually doing the inner work and enhancing their well-being through conscious practices. Maybe they value decolonization. I imagine you're listening to me because it's the talk of uncolonizing body, mind, heart, and spirit that drew you here. I imagine you want to practice spiritual systems from indigenous traditions and other cultures with integrity and wholeness. Maybe you want to find your way back to your own ancestral tradition and strengthen it, like I did and still am doing. Find those like minds who understand your value and what you want to contribute to the world, not fear-driven sheep who in every instance attempt to drag you back to a 9-to-5 reality to appease the status quo and validate their own feelings of lack and disenchantment with where they are and what they're doing. If they're not where you want to be and not living the life of your dreams, please don't let their advice reach any part of you, because that's going to knock your confidence and bring you back down to step one. Move in circles that are driven, ambitious, motivated, compassionate. Move toward leaders and independent thinkers and ultimately the change makers. You've got big plans and you need a purposeful community to validate your life experience, your unique voice, and those who hold excitement for your own choices and path. Let go of the interfering, drama-centering, and criticizing voice of the unaligned. So, to summarize, clean up your circle to clean up your focus. I tie this in with affecting both your mental and emotional health. Let's move on to the final aspect of the power of your environment. It's to do with the spiritual and still connected to your space. Do you have a space for your daily spiritual discipline, the sadhana? Be it yoga or another discipline, or a space to just write, move, or meditate. Is there a place in your home for an altar that honors your ancestors? And a place for your Ishta Devata if you're a yoga sadhaka. This is a game changer if you're seeking to heal your lineage and root into your wholeness. There is a deep connection between land and body, the land and practices of your ancestors and the pre-colonial indigenous ancestors of the land that you live on. Try incorporating a regular practice of gratitude and reverence, ensuring that there is a space to connect with this vital aspect that forms and restores a wholesome relationship with self. So important when we're working towards restoring our self-sovereignty and independence from toxic relationships and systems of harm that go against our needs and values, relationships and systems that are essentially adharmic. Connecting with humility to the land you live on is a dharmic act in itself. As we close this power thought, I invite you to contemplate on this idea. You succumb to your environment. If you're living and working in an environment that doesn't support you and your goals, then you must find a way to make it work for you. Something must change, even if it's something small, be it in your physical space where you spend the most time, be it a change in your diet and timings of meals and sleep, a change in your circle of influence. Clean up the energy around you. And finally, create an altar, a place with special items that connect you with your ancestors and perhaps even your personal guides. Let me know your thoughts. What change are you making and what is exciting about this change? And what specific goal are you moving towards right now? Grab your journal and start writing and reflecting on these questions. I'll see you next week for the final episode in this Power Thought series. If you're ready for big life changes, start with my poetry and journaling ebook called Rise Up. Download your copy and start shifting your mindset, align with your values and find your unique voice so that you can start to make an impact with your creativity and talents. Through the simple act of journaling, you can begin to befriend your powerfully sensitive nature and true soul desires. For those who are invested in decolonial healing and are on the yogic path, work with me in my 3-month mentorship program, The Inner Practitioner. Build a foundation of deep trust in self and life, unlearning the conditioning that takes away your self-connection and keeps you in doubt of your true power and capabilities. Reclaim your purpose and sovereignty. Go to branaandpoetry.com for the details. Rise up, warrior.